try to install a bumper on a TJ. Just kidding. That is one of the things I'm going to be doing today, but I have a whole bunch of stuff. Why I have a yellow TJ though would be the question, so let's check that out. So while I made myself some baby chickens and some delicious Colombian nectar, I decided while eating my nature's candy that I really haven't used my Blazer. I built it a long time ago, planned on using it for family events and trips, and now we just don't use it anymore. Shannon and I had our kids really young, and our kids have now been able to drive, and so they drive themselves wherever they want to go, and we would like to step down into something smaller. But is there something smaller that I'd be willing to want? Is there something smaller that I'm willing to trade for my Blazer that I've put all these years of effort and work into, that's completely done and has all the parts and pieces of a great wheeler? All you need to do is throw a family in it. Well, a guy named Chuck had got a hold of me, and he had just had twins, and he was wondering if I was willing to trade for a TJ, and this is how that story went.
Yeah.
A little bit of snow.
Well, you know.
I'm Colt.
Colt, Chuck.
Chuck, nice to meet you.
Ronnie, Brittany, Charlie, and John Evans.
Hi there.
I'll have to learn that all again.
Hi,
Colt.
Brittany.
Brittany, nice to meet you. Oh, burn piles, yeah. So this is it. A 2000 Jeep Wrangler TJ, all nice and yellow and totally beat up. So a few things about my Blazer is that it could only go about 65 miles an hour for regular highway driving. I didn't use it as a daily driver. It sat there. I did build it for the kids. I built it to take the family around. Now the kids have gotten bigger. So I really didn't use the Blazer. I just didn't use the Blazer. We just didn't drive it. And I'd take it out every now and again to go snow wheeling, but that was about it. And it just sat there parked, and I felt horrible with it just sitting there. This nice built Blazer that could hold a good sized family. So when Chuck reached out to me and said, hey, would you be interested in trading for a TJ? I wasn't sure at first. I've always loved Wranglers. I've always loved two-door Wranglers. But I wasn't 100% sure if I wanted to trade just straight across for a stock TJ. So he sent me pictures, and it has some cool stuff. Let me show you around here. It's got it's got heavy-duty diff guards. It's got truss on the back axle here. It's got Fox shocks. It's got a Terraflex's sway bar kit on it. It's got some heavy-duty steering. I don't know how much lift this is. I'm going to guess about 4 inches of lift or so on it. He believed it had 456 gears, and what I assume is probably just lunchbox lockers in the axles, because they ratchet. They're kind of loud. But the number one selling feature for this for me was right under here, and this is the Atlas transfer case. It has an Atlas transfer case. He didn't know what gear ratio it was. Why somebody would do an Atlas before doing axles, it doesn't make sense to me, but maybe they had big plans down in the future. And in case you're wondering, it comes with a free cracked windshield. Outside of the Atlas transfer case, this is about the level of most people's Jeeps. I've always loved Wranglers. I've only owned a handful of them, but I've always loved them. They're just cool looking, and their aftermarket is just astronomical. This one needs a lot of work. I got to do a lot of. It was treated like a Jeep. Let me put it that way. It was definitely treated like a Jeep. It has a fuel-injected 4-liter that just cracked 100,000 miles. It's an automatic. It does have this Badland Apex 12,000-pound winch. I've never used one of these winches before, so we'll see how that goes in the future. But I'm not going to change it if it's on there. We'll give it a shot and make sure it all works good. One of the things I noticed right away, that was kind of a bummer, is somebody tore the AC out of it. If you have AC in a vehicle, why would you ever take it out? It makes no sense to me. That's like one of the greatest features ever, is to be able to have AC. Granted, you can always take the top off, but if it's raining and it's hot out, you can't do that. So the blinkers are busted up and they don't work. The wiring's tore out of it, which I'm going to fix that today also. But I changed out the rear hatch. We changed out the rear bumper. I wanted to make sure I had a swing out tire carrier, because the old hatch was bent up from probably holding a spare tire on the hatch itself, as opposed to on the tire carrier. So once you get past about a stock size with those tire carriers, you can't. It's just going to get smashed up if you wheel it or use it. Avalanche Engineering rock sliders. I didn't even know Avalanche was still around, so that's kind of neat. Those are older. And that horrible swing out tire carrier I bought, I'm going to be honest with you guys, was just a Chinesium cheapo, and it was a huge pain in the butt to make it work, and it does not fit well, but it does work. So it's a temporary deal. I don't plan on it keeping this way. I do want to build this thing eventually. As of right now, I just want to get this Jeep going, get it cleaned up. I put rear fender flares on. I got front fender flares too, the factory ones, so I got to fix the fenders. They're all bent up. I'm going to beat them back straight and then try to get the stock fender flares back on there. I like the look of having the fender flares on these Jeeps, at least when they're mild built like this. When you start going big, then I totally get cleaning it up. Fixed. Inside here, it isn't anything fancy. It's basically just a Jeep, just a Jeep Wrangler. It's got somebody rhino lined the inside of the tub. It does have a Tuffy center console, and it does have some aftermarket seats, which are comfortable when you're in them. It is horrible to try to step up into this thing and then get into this seat with the bolster on the side here. So that is that's something I'm not sure if I'm going to keep these seats in here just for that reason, because if I'm jumping in and out of this to film a lot, I don't want to. It's just going to be miserable. My butt's too big to be trying to climb in and out of this, plus having that bolster stopping me. That's the reason I don't drive CJ5s, actually. 35s with a short arm kit. The reason, and I will say this, I will argue this till the deathbed. Short arm TJs, if you compare them to a JK, the reason the JKs and the reason the JKs took off, the JK Wranglers just took off, and everybody bought them, is because they didn't ride like a Jeep. This thing, especially being lifted as tall as it is with short arms, rides like a pile of hot garbage. It rides just horrible, and I don't have any control over that right now, but down the road I do want to do a long arm kit. I want to fix all that stuff. One of the things I got going on here is these fenders are pushed up, probably because that sway bar, even though it's like an anti-rock style, Terraflex made a disconnect for it so that when it disconnects you even flex more. The problem with that is the tires to the lift, they're coming up into this fender well. Eventually I'd like to do like a Chris Durham high hood on here, but until then I just want to be able to drive it, and I'd like it to look better than this. So they flexed up enough. Like I said, the blinkers don't work. They're broke off. The actual latch is pushed back because this fender is pushed up so much, and it's actually picking the hood up a little bit. So what I'm going to do here is just I'm going to try to massage this fender down real quick like this. Yeah! So you can see I got them pushed down with the hammer, and now I'm going to use my other body tool, because this is how I do it. This is the next piece of the puzzle. I got my fender flares on, straightened out my fenders as best as I could. They're not definitely not perfect by any means, but it really does look better, I think, with the fender flares on. Without, if you don't have a Highline kit or something, I think that it looks better with just the stock fender flares on. Now the problem is that these didn't have the side markers. These ones, that one's actually broken, my blinker marker on that side, so I did find these off the internet. The problem is this part that goes into the back, I actually could not find the ones for the Jeep, which are flat. They still notch in here, but they're flat. These pieces here still fit perfectly, and they're actually for a Ford. So here's the part number if you ever are looking for it, but it's actually for a Ford. Now the one thing I will have to do is drill out the back side. There's a little plate there to keep the dirt from coming into that, so I'll have to drill that piece out. But my whole wiring situation here is horrendous. Let me show you. This is how my blinkers were left. So the reason the blinkers don't work, I think, is somewhere in this this vicinity right here. So both sides are that way. I'm gonna have to I don't know why anybody would cut these off like that, but that's something I'm gonna fix, because I want this thing to be legit street legal, and I want it to be a driver. So like I said, my intent with this is where a lot of people are at with builds. It's hey, I picked up a used Jeep, it's got a few parts on it, but I need to make it fixed, or I need to make it right, and then I want to drive it and wheel it. I gotta tell you guys, Paul sold me on these when I was down there at Fabrats, these little Harbor Freight lights. They're magnetic, they're pretty bright, and you can set them up wherever you need them. But I couldn't get any power, and I realized I better check the fuses, and sure enough, the blinker fuse was blown. Well, that blinker fuse also controlled the power to the running lights to those switches for some reason. So now that I have the running lights, or now I have running lights and I have blinkers, and I just kicked on my 4-way. So this is all I'm doing to check it. So if I take this one, boom. So basically the black's ground, the black and yellow is my running lights, and my 2 grays are my blinkers. So now I know where I need to put everything in here. So there you can see my problem. Hole saw for the win. Ding! So now we're going to take this and da! Blinkers are done. Fender flares are on. It's starting to look like a Jeep again. One thing I want to show you guys is you can see this door here. You know, it's super common for half doors to get treated kind of crappy or to be dropped on accident. I was able to pick up some other half doors from my buddy Pat, same guy I got the rear hatch from. And I want to put my mirrors like this back on the door, because the only time these work, let's hope nobody's watching this that would write you a ticket for it, but this makes it legal to have your doors off and have your mirrors. The problem is when your doors are back on, you can't see these. The upper part slides out, pretty simple. This should just pick up. Boom, like that. Nice tight fit. Look at that. That seams up much better. I still got to adjust it, looks like a little bit, but seams up a lot better to the body. Everything works. One thing I don't like though with this door is this is kind of rattly. So I gotta, when I take this all apart, I want to look in here and see what's causing that. Because if that's going to do that, this thing's got enough rattles. I don't need to add another one. So I will probably pull the, not just the key lock, but I may go ahead and pull the latch off that other door too at the same time, if that's the case. So pulling the inner part out really is, I got a Torx and a couple Phillips. Sometimes there's some Christmas trees in here, and those aren't there today, so we got lucky with that. But I'll zip these off, we'll pull it off, and we'll see what it looks like. There we go. So all I did was just pop that over, and then this post will come straight up out of there, and then we lost it forever. But I just got to do the same with the bottom one for the door latch. We just unhook the lock mechanism. We'll do the same for the door latch, and then we can pull these 2 screws out, then we should be able to pull the panel off. Now we can get into the mechanism. Here's that rod I dropped, which that's probably part of the reason that that latch wasn't working too well. So we will check that out, see what's going on there. Ta-da! So all I did to fix this rattly latch is just adjust this out, just adjust this rod out, and now it's good and tight. No more rattly rattle. Ding! Everything seals up. I got my lock switched out. The interior is all done. Check it out. Boom. So now we'll jump and we'll knock out the other side real quick, and then I need to make a spare tire, or I need to put together a spare tire for the back. New conundrum. This bracket, which isn't even welded straight, by the way, they measured it center to center. Center to center is 5 on 4.5, but people that don't know this, if you measure 5-bolt pattern, it's 5 goes from the outside to center. So this is actually 5 on 4 3/4. Well, I don't know of a Jeep that's 5 on 4 3/4. It doesn't mean there isn't one, but it definitely was not a Jeep TJ Wrangler or a Jeep YJ or a Jeep CJ or a Jeep JK or a Jeep JL, because the JKs and up went 5 on 5. This is the difference between paying from someplace you know or someplace you can get to ordering it off of some no-name company. So not that it's always that way, but when it's extra cheap, sometimes it is that way. So anyway, now I get to take this bracket off. I'm going to re-drill the bolts to the right pattern, and then I can mount my spare tire. I'm also going to go ahead and take this is the original wiring for the third brake light, and I'm going to drill a little hole here and put a little third brake light in right there too, so I still have a brake light in the back. I'll show you guys when it's done. You like my cute spare? Remember the old Matchbox Jeeps? And these things were just like that. They had the big tires on the sides and then the spare was just super tiny. I always get a kick out of that. Alright, put your foot on the brake. Ding. Ding. So all I did was take the factory wire and then tied it in with a new wire running up to my third light. And it's that simple. Alright guys, she's street legal. She has a spare tire. I got everything working and functioning and at least where it should be, minus the AC. I still got to put that in at some point. But let's take her for a spin. Let's see what she got. Or as my friends from Minnesota would say, let's take her for a rip, bud. Hey. Before we took off too, I went ahead and just did a quick nut and bolt check, make sure everything was tight. I do think my rear shocks are totally shot in this, so I probably need to throw some new shocks on it. It's not helping the ride at all. I could probably lower the tire pressure some, that'd probably help a little bit. Think you'd want to go to school here? I used to come visit the schoolhouse, and it had the original windows with the original glass in it, and it was so nice. And then somebody at one point came through and busted them out. And then a group of Custer County folk came in and fixed it up again. And then it wasn't just months later they broke them out again. So it's unfortunate that people like to vandalize stuff like this. I think stuff like this, you just try to preserve what's left and find it cool. So I'm a fan of being able to see it, interact with it, touch it, but you also, I think we need to respect it. So anyway, this is the old schoolhouse for French Creek. We went from one schoolhouse to, I believe this was a schoolhouse and a church. I can't remember anymore. This is Cold Springs. It's been a while since I've been here, but I'll read and then I'll let you know like I know what I'm talking about. Okay, Cold Springs Schoolhouse. It's a Cold Springs Schoolhouse built in 1887. Oldest log schoolhouses, one of the oldest log schoolhouses in the entire state of South Dakota. So in 1973 it was placed on the National Registry for Historic Places. So here it is. So it's a schoolhouse, I was right. So we went from one schoolhouse to another schoolhouse. This place is absolutely, I mean, it's a little bit brisk today, it's a little windy, but oh man, for a winter day in South Dakota and the southern Black Hills, I mean, this is beautiful. Look at this. Look at how this door works. You gotta wait. You pick this up, and then that makes it shut. Woo. It shuts on its own with that weight there. I wonder what the oldest headstone is in here. I bet it's probably from the 1800s. This is an old cemetery. I'm not gonna go through it all, but this is what Jeeping is all about, guys. This is the thing that I miss. This is the thing that I love. I love exploring. You know, we do show a lot of rock crawling and hardcore stuff, but a lot of times you just need a four-wheel drive, a lifted four-wheel drive to get to places. Obviously, I've always wanted to be a little overbuilt for any situation I'm in, and that way I don't have to worry about it. You know, I'm not pushing the limits of my rig or my capabilities to get to where I'm going. But this is the kind of stuff I love, guys. It's just getting out in the woods, in the backcountry, and going and find something. This is what I love about Jeeping, is just finding a trail, hitting some 2-tracks, and just going out and exploring, seeing something you haven't seen, checking out an area that you've always driven by that maybe you haven't ever went to. This is it right here. This is exactly why I love this. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, it's probably not the smartest thing for me to be out here by myself with no phone service, by the way. I did notice I caught a section of phone service and I'd missed a call from Matt Wetzel. He's probably telling me that they hit 1 million subscribers, so congratulations to you guys. That's awesome for the Matt's Off-Road Recovery guys to hit 1 million. We'd like to do something special for you guys when we can hit 500,000. So we're looking forward to that. I hope that we can do that here this year, and yeah, one day I'd like to have a big old monster truck or at least riding one. Does anybody out there own a monster truck? Anybody out there own like a legit monster truck? I mean, one that can just drive over, you know, I mean, I can drive over cars and stuff with my Samurai, but like a legit monster truck. Hey, I think we just found a mine platform. Let's check it out real quick. Check this out. So there must be a mine up here, because this would be a loading dock. This would be a loading dock to load the ore in, and then you could drive out. I still love this spare tire. I don't care what anybody says. You can make fun of me all you want. I'm keeping that for a bit. Well, that's twice now. Man, I keep breaking camera parts on this thing. I don't know, maybe if I film this, I'm gonna have to get some better cameras. The Jeep's doing good, man. It's running good. It's clanking along. I did find that it has no cup holder, so that's gonna be one thing I'm gonna have to do. I know that's first world problems. If Matt and I are ever wheeling in this thing, he's gonna need a place for those Dr. Peppers. Chuck messaged me too and said that him and his family are really enjoying the Blazer, so you know, I'm happy I could help them. I'm happy that they could enjoy it. I'm happy that the Blazer's getting used, and I'm happy that I have something that has got me motivated again, something that's got me back and amped up about dinking around. And this is what Jeeping's all about. This is absolutely it. This right here is what got me into off-roading, is just exploring in the woods, going out and exploring. And I don't care if you're exploring in the desert, or you're exploring in the swamplands, or you're exploring in the grasslands, or wherever you're exploring, just being outside. You you just can't beat this stuff. You can't beat being outside. It is just, it's like a breath of fresh air, because it literally is.
Hey dear.
One thing we're known in the Black Hills is not for having, they have seen a bear lately over the last couple of years, a bear, but we're normally not known for having bears, but we sure are known for having mountain lions. In fact, so many mountain lions that during hunting season you're not even allowed to run dogs. So they figure you can just tree them by barking at them yourself, I guess. I don't know. But if that doesn't look like mountain lion territory, I don't know what does. Look at all the little rock caves and everything else. Beautiful, beautiful day. One of the things people say, or I get told a lot, is, well, you know, I wish my state had cool stuff. And I can tell you, I've been very blessed with my line of work of traveling in the lower 48, and I've actually been just this last year at Jeep Beach was my 48th state, so I've been to all the lower 48, and I can tell you that every single state has something cool in it. So don't be afraid. If you're willing to look it up, you're willing to do some research, you will find something awesome in your state, I promise, and it'll be worth checking out. If you guys got any ideas of what you want me to do to it, or even a name for it, I really haven't even thought of a name for it. Obviously, words like banana are already taken, right? But, you know, if you got a name for it or got an idea for it, let me know in the comments, because I'd be interested to see what you guys think. What you guys think of this little Jeep, what you guys think if we should do some adventures in it. Make it a, you know, I got to make it ride better though. It still rides like a pile of hot garbage. So that's down the road. We got to get back on that rat's nest. We got a few other projects in between then. So we do our best to make sure we got a video every week for you guys. We do appreciate you watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time. If you like this video, check these ones out. So this Chuck, he is taking the Blazer. So if you guys want to see it, you're gonna have to go to Kentucky now. Is it gonna be yours? Are you gonna end up wheeling it? Oh, you waited too long. Now it's hers.